Hello everybody, my name is Suman Dua. I am a registered migration agent based in Brisbane, Australia. In this video today, I would like to talk about the 482 visa. 482 visa is the temporary skills shortage employer sponsored visa. So there are many benefits of this visa. So the first benefit is that there is no age limit for this visa. So you could be over 45 years of age and you could still apply and be granted this visa. This is particularly good for applicants who are over the age of 45 and do not meet the requirements of the other skill stream visas. The second benefit is that you do not have to wait for the states to open like for the other skilled visas. And if you have a sponsor and if you meet the minimum eligibility requirements, you can still apply for this visa. The third benefit is that you do not require any skills assessment like in other skilled visas like 189, 190 and 491. However, in some cases, a skills assessment is required, especially if you're nominating a trade occupation. But there are waivers available for those occupations as well if you have studied in Australia. The fourth benefit is that the department has announced a priority migration skilled occupation list and they have put 17 occupations on that list. So if your occupation is on the PMSOL, which is the priority migration skilled occupation list, you will be given priority for your visa application and you will also be given travel exemption to travel to Australia. The fifth benefit is that it does have a pathway to permanent residency. So you could go for the 186 employer sponsored visa after 3 years of staying on a 482 visa. Also, if your occupation is on the short-term skilled occupation list where you only get the 482 visa for 2 years, in that case as well, you can still look at getting your skills assessment and look at the skilled migration options for the visa subclasses 189, 190 or 491. Now let's talk about what is a 482 visa. So like the name suggests, which is a TSS visa, it is a temporary skills shortage visa and it is an employer sponsored visa. So an employer can sponsor an overseas worker in Australia for this visa. Please note that the overseas worker doesn't have to be overseas. The applicant can be in Australia on a temporary visa and may want to apply for the 482 visa if they meet all the requirements. This visa is granted for 2 to 4 years depending on what occupation you choose from the occupation list. So this visa does have its own occupation lists which consist of more than 500 occupations. So it is split into 3 categories, which is MLTSSL list, STSOL list and ROL list. Please note that some of the occupations does have some extra requirements and caveats. More information is available on the occupation list and we are putting the link in the description. So this visa does have 3 streams. The first one is the medium term stream where you can nominate an occupation from the MLTSSL list and you can be granted a visa for 4 years. You can also pick an occupation from the ROL list, which is the regional occupation list, and as long as your occupation is based in the regional area as per the designated regional area postcodes, then you may get the visa for 4 years as well. Also, if you apply under this stream, it does have a pathway to permanent residency after 3 years. The second stream is the short-term stream, where you can pick the occupation from the STSOL list and the visa is granted for the maximum of 2 years. However, you can renew the visa again after 2 years, but if you have to renew the visa the second time, you will have to go offshore and from offshore you can apply the 482 visa. The third stream is the labor agreement stream. So this is for employers where the occupation that they are nominating is not on the occupation list of the 482 visa and they wish to sponsor overseas workers. In that case, they will have to organize a separate agreement with the department to nominate the overseas workers. There are some minimum requirements that the employer and the visa applicant will have to meet in order to get a successful grant of the 482 visa. So we will talk about these minimum requirements in this video today. I have also created a fact sheet that may come in handy for you or your employer if you are looking at the 482 visa. If you stay with me till the end of the video, you can download that fact sheet for free. The 482 visa is comprised of 3 stages. The first 2 stages are mainly for the employer And the third stage, which is when you file the visa application, is for the visa applicant. In the first stage, the employer will have to apply for the business sponsorship application and will have to be approved as a standard business sponsor. For a successful application, the business will have to prove that they are operating lawfully in Australia and there is no adverse information available to the department for this business. The second stage is the nomination approval. So this approval is required for the position that is available in the business. To get approval for this stage, the business will have to prove that there is a genuine need of the position and the position is available full-time. They will also have to provide evidence that the salary available to the applicant meets the temporary skilled migration income threshold of 53,900 Australian dollars. The salary will also have to meet the AMSR, which is the annual market salary rate for that nominated occupation. What it means is that if an Australian was given that position, he will be paid at the same rate as this overseas worker. However, there are some exemptions available in limited situations. The business will have to nominate an occupation from the legislative instrument for the 482 visa occupation list. So the occupation could be from the MLT-SSL, ROL or STSOL list. And if it requires a labour agreement, then the labour agreement needs to be already organised before they lodge the nomination application. The business will also have to perform LMT, which is also known as labour market testing. There has been some recent changes around the LMT, so at the moment it requires 3 job advertisements to be done in the last 4 months for a minimum of 4 weeks. It is mandatory now that one of these advertisements is listed on the government's Job Active website. The business will also have to pay the SAF levy, also known as the Skilled Australian Fund levy. The levy will depend on the annual turnover of the business and the proposed period of stay of the nominee. You may want to refer to the table to see what exactly your employer will have to pay. If your employer's annual turnover is less than 10 million, then in that case they will have to pay $1,200 per year. If the annual turnover is over $10 million, then in that case they will have to pay $1,800 per year. Then it will depend how long they are applying the visa for. So of course, if they are applying for 2 years and the annual turnover is less than 10 million, then they will have to pay $2,400 as SAF levy. Once both the sponsorship application and the nomination applications have been lodged or granted, the visa application can be lodged after those 2 stages. There are also some minimum requirements that the visa applicant will have to meet in order to be granted the 482 visa. The visa applicant will need to have the skills, qualification and work experience for the nominated occupation. Also note here that some occupations may require a skills assessment, so you may want to see a registered migration agent if your occupation requires a skills assessment or if there is any way that you can get a waiver for a skills assessment. The second main requirement is that the visa applicant needs to have a minimum of 2 years full-time work experience in the nominated occupation. This 2 years work experience has to be full-time or it can be part-time equivalent. The applicant will also have to meet the minimum mandatory registration or license requirements that are required for their occupation. If the applicant is nominating an occupation from the STSOL list, then in that case they will also have to meet the genuine temporary entrant criteria. The applicant will also have to organize the health insurance for the duration of their stay, and they will also have to meet the health and character requirements. The applicant will have to meet the minimum English requirement, which is overall 5 and a minimum of 5 in IELTS test or equivalent if you are nominating an occupation from the MLT-SSL list. However, if you're nominating an occupation from the STSOL list and applying under the short-term stream, then in that case you need overall 5 and a minimum of 4.5 in IELTS or equivalent test. So there are some situations where you are exempted of providing this English test. So you may be able to find some more information in the fact sheet that I have got available to download. If you are somebody who has got an employer who's ready to sponsor you and you also meet the minimum requirements, which is that you do have 2 years full-time work experience in your nominated occupation, then please get in touch with us because we will be able to help you with the 482 visa. To stay updated about Australia's immigration, make sure that you subscribe to our channel.